Welcome back to another episode of Can Blue, a hockey podcast covering the Rangers and the Montreal Canadiens. I'm your host, Ben, covering the Rangers.
I'm Brendan, covering the Canadiens.
And we are back for another week of kind of right on the cusp of being in the playoffs. We're in the playoff race, both of us.
We're both competing against one another.
Didn't think we would be here start of the season, but here we are. We're Canadiens, I believe, are 1 point ahead of the Rangers as we're speaking today.
Yep.
And both teams are 1 or 2 points out of the wild card spots, the last two wild card spots.
Along with like 3 other teams.
Yeah,
though.
I mean, you have Columbus, you have the Flyers, the Senators are
Boston.
even in there. I think Detroit is like 1 point behind us. Boston is in the wild card right now.
No, I think the Sens are in the wild card.
I just
and
checked.
Boston. Really?
Yes, Boston's in.
I swear I just checked too, though.
Sens have been losing.
Okay, well that's good.
And Tampa
You gave them
also.
one of a loss, right?
Yes, we did. That's one of the big wins for this week for the Rangers.
We gave Tampa an L in regulation.
We need to keep pumping those.
Yeah.
It'd be crazy if we both secured the bottom 2 wild card spots in the first year of the pod. I feel like that would be perfect.
That would be perfect.
Especially now.
Yeah.
I expected Rangers to be top 3 in the division, but now it's kind of like I would love for us to battle it out.
Maybe you're climbing back up. We'll see.
It seems that way. It seems like the
and the trade deadline hasn't come yet, and that big trade that you mentioned last week hasn't happened.
You're right. So last week's pod, I mentioned that we might have a brand new Ranger, big name, JT Miller, within the week. Instead, kind of throwing a curveball, major blockbuster trade coming through. Mikko Rantanen from the Colorado Avalanche goes to the Carolina Hurricanes, and Chicago kind of facilitates this trade by retaining some salary, so it's like a 3-way trade, but Chicago doesn't really receive anything except maybe a 3rd-round pick, which is a little weird, and they lose Taylor Hall. So all in all, if you break it down, Colorado gets back Marty Necas, which is a great young signing.
Were they trying to help themselves by establishing like a good relationship with the other two?
But like, what is the point?
Yeah, I don't understand what
it doesn't
Chicago's
really.
doing.
I feel like everyone was kind of around the league scratching their heads about the Chicago, why? What's the point? Just because you have the cap space?
Maybe there's something more in the works
going
on.
Maybe.
But yeah,
I would love to hear that.
I cut you off with Marty Necas.
No problem. Yeah, no. So the Avs receive Marty Necas, who's been a top star player for the Canes. There's been a couple of contract disputes there.
Saw it coming.
But yeah, I think it was kind of. They did just sign him though, no? But I think it was kind of up in the air that he might be getting traded soon. And then they also receive Jack Drury, so they get they're both centers, right?
I believe so.
I think so. So they get 2 centers. They get a little deeper.
I'm a little surprised, to be honest, from both sides. Like Rantanen
is. I feel like we don't talk about him on this pod that much. I feel like the casual hockey fan might not know. Like, he is a top 10 player in the league,
arguably top 5 or 6.
Yes.
Because
he is a bona fide star.
Anyone would love to have him on the team.
Absolute, like, people in Colorado call him like a surefire Hall of Famer already. Like, he is that good. And I think you kind of lose that. I just listening to all these Rangers fans and Canadiens fans, you don't really hear Rantanen as much, but when they're in town, you do. He is cream of the crop.
It's like, so you got Crosby and McKinnon, and then you got Rantanen and Malkin. It's sort of like losing Malkin if you were a Pens fan.
In the prime, not
in
right
the prime.
now.
In the prime.
Yes, in their prime. I would agree with that. So that's the Avalanche's loss and haul back. We said Chicago takes on some money, loses a player, and gains a 3rd-round pick, and Carolina receives Mikko Rantanen and then Taylor Hall as well from Chicago.
Yeah.
And that's
they also Colorado got a couple picks too. Right?
Yeah, I think they had a 3rd and a 4th, or a 4th and a 5th, something like that.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because you need a haul to take that type of superstar caliber player away. And you might be asking yourself, why would they make that trade? It seemed like, they just signed McKinnon to 12.5 or so. Rantanen's contract was coming up. It seemed like the negotiations,
be over $14 million.
it seemed like the negotiations weren't going so well, and Rantanen's camp might have wanted, what market value was, which would be $14+ million.
Like what Draisaitl's being paid.
True, exactly, like what Draisaitl's being paid. But I saw today that he was very shocked Rantanen released this like in a scrum report. He was shocked because he was willing to go below market value to stay.
See, that's where
Like,
I think if
pulled the trigger maybe a little too early to lose a
yeah,
player like that.
I don't know. That means to me it's I don't know. Maybe they didn't have enough talks with him.
I think like
Who's the GM for Colorado? Is this Sakic?
I think Sakic is away from the team a little bit, but he's still involved. I don't think he's the main guy involved. Obviously, Bednar's the head coach. I forget who the GM and if there's a
I
president.
thought it was Sakic.
Sakic might be president.
Okay, but he's involved.
He's there. Yeah,
he's involved.
for sure. I think like it's a possible misstep by the organization.
If you get a guy like Rantanen, in a Habs perspective, you're keeping it. I think he'd be a Hab for life if we drafted him.
Well, here's the only other part to this. Does he want to stay in Carolina? Because they have him. They didn't sign him. It wasn't a sign and trade. It was okay, we traded for him. Now he's still up for, free agency come July. It's similar to what Gensel did, right? They got Gensel to come in with all these, they traded away prospects and all this other stuff to Pittsburgh. And then he left in the offseason to Tampa. So could happen.
How does it usually have gone with these star players? Like, because maybe he needs to see some reassurance or like a good outcome in Carolina first before signing.
So
long-term.
I think of the Juan Soto deal for baseball, to bring baseball into it. Soto goes to the Yankees. They have a great rest of the year. They go to the World Series. They lose in the World Series. Then he becomes a Met. So...
Okay.
Do you think
that could happen?
A couple things have been going on though, right? Like if they won, do you think he'd be like, "Oh, we won. It's been going so well. I'll stay," or will he be like, "Nope, I'm still going to take my highest bid on the market, even if it's," and like maybe the Hurricanes are willing to match that and it's easy. Maybe not. Maybe there's another team that'll come in and say, "No, we'll pay you $15 million," and then it's like, how are you?
Right.
So it's really up in the air. I think it's really interesting, and that's something we'll talk about maybe in the offseason when that comes around. But the key...
Usually people get the bag, though, from what I've seen, instead of pick the Stanley Cup or championship team.
They would. I think
if the championship team could do that, then, yeah, they'll stay.
If he believes in the team and the team winning, then I think he'll stay if they pay him what he's doing, what he wants. We haven't seen this in a while, but there's a potential he goes back, says, Colorado, I want to come back, and then they give him, like, the 12 or 13 million that is below market value. That would suck.
That would be really interesting. Yeah.
It would suck for everyone else except the Avalanche because they basically received players and then we'll get to sign them again.
And they received Nietzsche.
Yeah. No, I don't know how that would work with the cap, but he could do it.
If he does that'd be so funny because I don't like Carolina.
Same here.
They lose 2 star players like that.
Yeah,
it's insane.
It would be nuts.
And I thought Nietzsche's was a lock. I'm like, okay, this guy, he's now blowing up, like exploding point wise and production wise. They gotta keep he's there. It's like a 1-2 punch. It's Aho and then you got Nietzsche's.
Yeah. Well, now it's
totally
Rantanen's the number one guy. That might be another
and maybe
factor.
that's why they wanted Rantanen so much because you got the Finnish connection there.
That is true.
With Rantanen and Aho.
That's true too. I also think you bring Rantanen into that team, he's automatically the star. Even though Aho's great and knows the city and is probably more of the favorite, he is the number one guy you have to watch out for, as opposed to on the Avalanche you have McKinnon, Makar, and Rantanen. He's like the second or third guy on that team.
Right.
So maybe he plays into that. Maybe he likes that responsibility.
That's what I love about the Colorado team. Like the fact that you say McKinnon, Makar, and then Rantanen.
Yeah, well.
It's crazy. You'd say Rantanen on the first in any other team, pretty much.
Except for maybe the Oilers.
But you could understand. I think this kind of relates to the Rangers JT trade because you could see how. I mean, I'm not saying JT's like Rantanen, but he's top 15, maybe on
He top 20.
At least last year he was top 15.
So JT Miller's had a 100-point season. I think you said that. He's not as consistent. He's not he's not as superstar caliber as Rantanen, but I do think there is some relation there to bringing a player like that.
The value in
definitely.
Yeah.
The key that I wanted to tie this into was there were a couple teams rumored around the JT Miller trade that hasn't happened yet as of recording, and the Hurricanes were among the favorites. It was pretty much Rangers and Hurricanes and then they thought the Devils might be interested, but would have to do some cap manipulations. the Bruins are like a dark horse, but I don't know what that actually means and how they would have to get around like all the salaries they already have on their cap. But now that the Carolina Hurricanes have made this move for this massive player, I think it effectively takes them out of the running for the JT Miller sweepstakes.
I think they're done for
I mean, they might make some other like
trade
kind of
deadline
on the outskirts, like periphery moves for around the deadline, but I think they're not going to go out now and try to go get Miller. I don't think they can afford it. So it kind of handcuffs the Canucks to, they've kind of said now very clearly, we're looking at ways to get rid of Miller and get something back for him. It seems like he still has a no-move clause, so he can control where he goes. It seems like even more
JT?
now. Yeah.
Okay.
It seems like even more now the Rangers are going to be the eventual destination for him. Since there's no one else that can offer,
just process of a it's just like, oh, well, I guess maybe it's here then, I guess.
Yeah. It's...
when is it happening? I've been waiting.
I know. Me too. I'm just... It's like any day now, I think. Same thing. Like this time next week, we could be talking about a whole different team.
Well, it's good for the Rangers because they've been on a bit of a heater, so it's good timing
It'd be
for
the perfect
JT to
time.
come in.
It'd be the perfect
But who
time.
would be leaving? That's another question.
I think it'd be, unfortunately, because I love him, I think Hedl would be gone. I know they love Schneider, but it's Schneider, Lindgren, potentially, Jones,
but then you get
prospects.
It's either prospects. You don't think
That's
it's Mika?
three.
You don't think it's Mika or Kreider?
I don't think. They both don't have to go if they don't want to. I think that ship has sailed. They kind of already passed over the Mika trade, so I don't think that's happening.
I think it was Mika and someone they didn't want. But what if it was
No,
Mika
I think it was Mika
Zach
was the
Jones.
centerpiece. One, Mika has to waive his no trade, no move, which I don't think he'll do. And two, I don't think they were enticed by the Mika.
I mean, I wouldn't be either, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, right now I wouldn't either. Yeah. So that's pretty much what I can think of. There's been some smaller trades, like do you see Tony DeAngelo's back? He's on the Isles.
Right, yeah.
They just also made a trade with the Blues for another defenseman. Forget his name though. It's a little bit.
Well, Tony, he was actually he was on the same squad as Demidov, the SKA, St. Petersburg, and he was like basically more than a point per game, DeAngelo, and then all of a sudden he had to leave for family reasons, and then 2 weeks later or a week later or something, signed with the Islanders a year, $800,000.
Bet minimum.
He did say he made a tweet or complimenting, oh man, Habs fans should be excited because this guy Demidov is the real deal, and Habs fans, including myself, were confused. We're like, okay, do we like Tony DeAngelo now? Just a random.
He's definitely
bit of lore there.
Complicated character because he's done some bad things like on the Rangers specifically.
I would not want him in my
No. At this point, even though players say that they love him, at this point I would same.
And it's not mental health. I think with him, I think he's just like a hothead and an asshole. Pretty much.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
But having that on your team sometimes, especially if it's meshing well with your players, like him and Demidov could have been buddies because he's just buddying him up, But then
it's fine. And Demidov barely speaks English.
Yeah,
so.
It doesn't matter. I don't think he'll be.
I'm
much
worried
of a
about
factor.
Kuznetsov playing with Demidov more than Tony.
Why?
What do you mean why? You know why?
Oh, because of his nickname that we won't go into.
His nickname.
His illicit substance nickname. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, also, I mean, I hope he's
Russia?
Better now. I do hope he's better. I think he maybe is.
That's something that our viewers can look up on their own time.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, let's get into your first game of the week.
Yes, so this game was Tampa and Montreal, and
very close in the standings.
Very close in the standings.
And you hate them.
Absolutely hate them.
Kucherov.
And Kucherov did score in this one. We were down, another game where we were down 2-0 initially, and then we come back and win in heroic fashion, last 2 minutes to make it 3-2 regulation win. I feel like that was the first regulation win in like a week or so, or over a week or so. And that would be our only regulation win this week. The other two are losses, one in OT. But in this game, Kucherov scores, and then Gensel, with no help in front, Monty started in this game, just easily gets in front, scores on Monty 2-0 after the first. So not a lot of activity in this until we go into a power play, and Slavkovsky down low, sharp angle, pretty much no angle at all. Gets a pass Vasi through a little like bank shot off his pad, and it pops up and somehow it goes in. But I've been liking his play as of the past 2 weeks. I know that's one player I really want to really get going, and I've mentioned it a couple times before, or more than a couple times. And I think that was his 7th or 8th of the year. So certainly slow start for him, but now, including the Rangers game, you see more out of his play. You know, he's using the stick pretty well defensively, getting the body in more. I would love to see his stick handling be a bit better when he has the puck. You know, keep possession of the puck. And, I mean, ideally, like, his comparison when he was drafted was like the Rantanen thing. So it's like, it's a hard comparison and hard to live up to because Rantanen is an amazing person.
Yeah.
I would be amazed if he fell just short of Rantanen. So, like, that would be awesome to me. But, yeah, I certainly don't have expectations, but I know some Habs fans do or have had the expectation, like, oh, Slav could be, you know, like Rantanen. Next goal, we got Alexander Newhook, who you've heard me sometimes complain about him.
Yeah.
Because he has flashes of, like, amazing greatness. And, like, whether he goes end to end and scores on, like, somehow through a breakaway, or just a nice shot in the slot. And this time around, it was that nice shot in the slot, just like a one-timer off the board. I forgot who passed it to him, but he just snipes a top corner, and for his, like, 8th or 9th of the year, amazing. Like, and then he has those goals and moments, and then other times he just, like, falls so short of, like, misses the net completely, or it gets blocked, or he gets out-muscled. But again, young team. Him and Doc, you forget how young Newhook and Doc are. They're like 23. Like, Doc just turned 24.
Yeah.
Newhook is 23. So there's still a lot of room for him to grow. And I am glad that we have him because he does provide that secondary scoring when it matters. And this time it certainly mattered because we tied 2-2 here. And Monty overall played an amazing game, kept us in the game. The next game he would start, but I think our team disappointed him. But in this one, to finish off, Jake Evans wins it in our corner. We go down the streak. Armia passes it to him for a one-timer, and we win 2 minutes to go. So, amazing feeling to beat Tampa because I think they beat us last time. No, we beat them in Tampa, but they've had this history with us, of course, with the Stanley Cup playoffs, and up until recently, we've been losing all the time to them. So it was good to win to them on home ice. And fun fact, Caulfield has not scored on Vasilevsky ever.
I was going to bring that up. I was going to say, did Caulfield score today?
No.
Obviously not. You just went over it. That's interesting.
He had a lot of shots on net, though,
Yeah.
on Vasi.
It's like David and Goliath.
I guess so.
Very
He's like,
small
what, 6'7"
man against like
or
a
something?
tall boy.
Jeez.
Yeah. So that is interesting. Well, I guess do you know if they play again? They must play like maybe one more.
Probably
time.
one more.
So I'll be looking for that storyline and see if Caulfield can cash in.
We don't play the Rangers anymore. I looked that up. Like that was our last game.
That makes sense. That's 3. Usually it's
three.
3 or 4 within division, and then like 3 out of division. But then West Coast, it's like 1 or 2.
It's like 4 in division.
I think so.
It's 3, like
maybe 3 out.
We play Toronto at least 4 times.
Yeah.
Boston 3-4 times. Detroit, so
makes sense.
We got a couple more with them, and Tampa probably is one of them. So
okay, on to my games. I want to cover the Tuesday and the Thursday game kind of together. Tuesday was Ottawa. Thursday was the Flyers. Both games, Igor started and played amazing. It was a 5-0 win and a 6-1 win.
I saw in like the last 7 or 8 games like 6-0-1 or something like that.
Yeah. Igor he's been money for sure. I mean these are 2.
It kind of contradicts what you said about him last week, I guess.
Last week?
You mentioned that he's not living up to his contract or something.
Right. That I don't. Well, I think I was under duress if I had to guess. I was.
I guess so.
Looked like I was wearing.
Or
enemy
you're just
colors.
out of your mind.
No, I was wearing enemy colors. I was held at gunpoint. I had to say something I
Right.
didn't mean. You know, it's we're back to the normalcy now. No, he has been great. The Ottawa game, obviously, a shutout is nuts. We have the fourth line contributing almost every game now on the score sheet, which is
killing it.
something that
They're competing against our fourth line now.
Dude,
in
I
terms
mean,
of the best.
and I agree. I was gonna say, like, I feel like we're coming to the terms of like this could be one of the best fourth lines in the league, at least in the conference. And if we're battling with you, I'm good with that. But just to have like Rempe in the lineup consistently, and he scored in the Ottawa game.
I know, he had a great goal.
It was a sick goal. It's like he stole all of Zibanejad's power. That was the fake forehand backhand.
I did not know he had
try
those
to
hands.
roof it. I don't know if anyone in the building knew he had those hands, honestly.
Yeah.
But it just seems like every time I look at the game or like check like who got the assists or whatever, one of Edstrom, Carrick, or Rempe are just chipping in for one goal or assist. And it really just shows like they're working hard. They're grinding other teams. Their intimidation factor is there with the two really tall guys in Edstrom and Rempe.
Does Edstrom fight?
Edstrom has fought this year, and I've seen him fight down in Hartford, but he's not as much of a goon, I'd say, as Rempe.
That's good. That's good.
But
You
they're
can't
both
have
like
two-
6'8".
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're both massive, and just the fact that like we can have that kind of intimidation factor, but also lead to scoring and also stay out of the box and also not get suspended, which is what we're seeing now come together. It's great. So just like milestone to note, I know Panarin got his 20th goal of the season in the Ottawa game, so he's kind of like, I know it's taken some time.
So late.
It's taken some time. I think I've seen I think Lafreniere's around 15 goals. I think Trocheck's around 15. I think Cooley and Hedl are like 13 to 15. So we're having like a pretty consistent distribution now that the team has picked up its play. But there was a long time there where we weren't scoring that many goals and people's numbers were not going up. I don't know if Zibanejad has crossed the double-digit mark in goals yet. Maybe he's at like 11 now, but definitely not as big.
I thought it was 8th or 9th in Montreal.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. Like he might be at like 11, or I don't really remember him scoring though, to be honest. So either way, definitely that chunk in the middle of the season. It was honestly like the second, and I guess we're approaching the last 30 games of the season. So the middle, like
November to early January.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping this is the full flip the switch moment where we can, leverage some of the good play that we've been having. And the big thing, obviously you have Igor. He's bailing you out of a lot, if not most or all situations. But having those key defensive signings brought in over Trouba, having Vakanainen play on that
Wait,
like,
didn't you just sign Will Borgen?
Yes, we did. I was going to get to that. So Urho Vakanainen playing on the bottom pairing with Schneider. They've been able to kind of like stifle any offense against whoever they're playing against. And then Borgen and Miller has kind of really... Borgen playing with Miller we've seen a resurgence in Miller's game because the way that I view Borgen right now is, one, absolutely Lindgren replacement. That's what he is. They're paying him, I think, $100,000 more than they're paying Lindgren right now. So they're paying him $4.1 million. They just signed him for 5 years. People are like, that's so much over a small sample size. He was in Seattle. We got him for Kakko.
Oh, right.
So a couple things on Borgen just while we're here, because like the whole point of this, Igor can bail us out. Our defense has been so much better. You see it in these 2 games. We let up 1 goal in 2 games and scored 11 goals. So Borgen and Miller have this good chemistry going where Miller is obviously more offensively minded and can skate really well. And when he uses his skating ability and can trust it and is confident in it, he is a much better player. And when you had him playing with maybe someone who wasn't as strong defensively or someone like Trouba who you can't really trust, he was asked to do more and it made him worse. Now we're seeing this pairing play so much better. Borgen, although he did some things this weekend that, or maybe even just one thing that fans definitely going to get on him about.
Colorado?
Yeah.
Okay.
He shuts down play. He's big. He's physical. He forces everyone to the outside. And I think Miller is trusting that and using his own abilities now because he knows he has someone he can trust on his pairing. So that's like...
Well, it's inevitable for a defenseman to, mess up or be like blatant in because us too, we have one person, which we'll mention later. People are like really pissed at this person. And I've gone pissed at him sometimes, but I don't think it's warranted. But yeah, continue.
But basically, you're totally right. The defense, they're the last line of your defense before getting to the goalie. So like, there are things that are going to happen. They're playing 20s
also
of
by
minutes a
virtue
night.
of being defense, you want them to be defensive and for ideally the other team to never score.
Yes.
Right.
But it's like that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Right. And you're going to have great players making great plays, which is kind of what happened in the Avalanche game. But to wrap up these two, Flyers Ottawa game, really it was just fourth line chipping in. You have Panarin, Trocheck, Lafreniere producing more at the level that they were last year. Smith and Kreider are like kind of noticeable, but not crazy. And Zibanejad's still pretty much off the radar completely. But having that top line of Panarin, Trocheck, and Lafreniere contributing on a nightly basis is great. Having your fourth line out muscle and out kind of just dominate every other team's fourth line is leading to actually like inspired looking hockey. So like that's why we've been seeing this. We went on I think a 9-game point streak. It was ended in Colorado or against Colorado, but that's really the change there. And the last thing I'll say, because it happened right before the Avalanche game, was the extension, 4.1 by 5 years. And people were saying that's a lot of money to pay a guy like Borgen, who he's not going to contribute offensively that much. And, you've only seen a small sample size of him. But I think the reasoning is the fit has looked so great after the first week that it took a little meshing, that they're confident. He's young enough. He plays a style of hockey that it's a little more sustainable than Lindgren, where Lindgren's really like just selling out all day, and Lindgren's also a little smaller, so it takes more of a beating on those types of players. But also, the salary cap is going up. They're expecting it to go up in the next 2 years to over $100 million. So $4 million now, when the cap is 88, it's a bigger share. But when it's 100, it's really it's gonna.
They're banking on his play to continue, or if not, be better as the season goes along. And I think it's a good bet because you never know. He could be asking a million more at the end of the season if you didn't do it now. So.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think whenever you have a chance to sign someone who's in or entering their prime, who's playing well, who...
Wait, how old is he?
He's 27.
Okay, yeah.
Which is like, when he came over, I was like, he's kind of getting old, but like he's really not. In the terms of like, that's when players hit their stride. He's never going to be the Fox of the team, which is we don't need him to be.
You don't need him to be, yeah.
We've been. I feel like when I come on here, I'm like, we need someone who's just defensively good. I don't want them to score.
Right,
I just want them to shut down plays, and that's what I've seen from Borgen off the rush.
That's same with us with Carrier.
Yeah.
We don't expect him to score.
No, very similar.
But ever since he came from the get-go, maybe after a week, he defensively amazing.
Yeah.
So much chemistry with. Well, it's Keandre Miller. He's playing Caden Gooley, both youngsters, and at least compared to them, veteran presence in the league. Borgen, Carrier. It's stable. He has certainly stabilized our defense a lot than we were expecting, and that's all we need him to do.
It's a good formula. It seems like it's working for both of us.
Yeah. Maybe they're copying us. I don't know.
Could be. All right, next game. What do you got?
Yes, next game. Detroit. This was a snooze fest for Montreal. This was not a fun game to watch. Monty also started in this. As I said earlier, I think the troops disappointed him in front because there's just a lack of just help. By pretty much midway through the game, we only shot 10. Detroit almost shot 30. And we were down pretty much 3-0, 2-0 after the first. Detroit scores on a shorthanded goal, and it was a mistake off Lane Hudson. He attempted a shot on the right wing, and then it got blocked, bounced it in the middle. Some guy, I don't even know, Detroit, scored on the breakaway against Monty. So, and for the most part, before that, anyway, it was not even going well at all. And I think at this point, I was thinking, and I'm sure other people may have thought this, they were tired. They've had like a long month and a half stretch of just a lot of games in 1 week, back-to-backs.
I felt the same. I feel like we were covering 4 or 5 games a week, and this was the first time we had 3.
And they were back-to-back for at least 3 weekends in a row.
Yeah.
And they went to Detroit, so the traveling. I know it's close
Not
to
really.
Montreal.
I mean, it's
still like a lot of
travel.
time. It's still travel. You got to take a plane, and you got to come back for another game here. So you could see they were just kind of gassed a bit, and I don't blame them. And that's why I'm not really too worried about this loss. I mean, we should have been maybe brought it to Detroit because they are a divisional rival, and they're also fighting for that playoff spot. And that's like the only caveat to this, but I understand why they feel a little gassed at this point because, I mean, there was a lot of games. I mean, we beat you, and then we beat Tampa, and there's bound to be some kind of, regression based on the
I wouldn't even
I
mean, did they play bad?
No, they had they had their chances
tired?
later on. Like the third period, they started to pour it on, and I mean, we did make it decently competitive. We weren't shut out. Doc scores one off a wraparound. There was effort in front, just like, and good decent chances. But I forgot who the goalie was. Who's the Detroit goalie?
They have like a new one every time.
Yeah, no clue.
It's not Lions.
Is it Lions? It could have been Lions. Anyway, yeah, it was just bad luck. After Doc scores to make it 3-1, Larkin gets a weird bounce. Couple attempts, gets above Monty. It just bounces above Monty's pad. And 4-1, it's like, okay, well, let's just try to claw back up there. Even after when it was 4-1, I was still thinking, like, they could score a couple. Well, they scored one more. Caden Goulet shoots in. Newhook gets another tip. Or, actually, from what I see, Goulet just straight up scores it from the point. But 4-2, and it could have been more competitive, but I'm not super being harsh. Don't blame Monty in this at all because, again, they were just tired. But yeah, that was Detroit.
I feel like if they had a bad game or a game where they just showed up, looked like they didn't care, that's a regression. Like, you're gonna have a loss. You're not gonna, even if you're playing great, you're not gonna win every game. The rest of the 30 games or whatever it is we have. So
I guess if people were upset about this game, you could see how the early games kind of bite us in the ass in terms of we have to make up for a lot of lost ground.
Same here. It's exactly same for Rangers. So I get it.
Like, we were bottom of the league up until December.
Yeah.
Pretty much every game you think that they'd lose. So there's a lot of ground to cover. And that's why maybe there's a little bit of nervousness and urgency to be like, all right, we have to win as many games as possible.
It's kind of fun. It makes the rest of the season
matter a lot.
Must watch, I feel like, for me. Same for you. But we're in the same boat. We gave up too many points. That's why this next game hurt so bad for the Rangers. So playing the Avalanche at home, their newly acquired third or fourth line center Jack Drury scores.
Oh yeah, okay. So Necas and Drury are playing this game. Drury scores.
So Drury scores. I think Necas definitely got a point. Maybe it was a power play point. He didn't score, but he was chipping in for points.
Chris Drury is his uncle?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, wow.
They're related. Okay. And he has like 6 points in 6 games against us, Jack.
Damn.
So I think
it's one of those things.
When Uncle Drury comes to town, it's like, nephew Jack is putting it in. So Jack scored, and then I think they had Makar as well score. Oh yeah, that was Necas's first point as an Avalanche. So go down 2-0 pretty early. Didn't look great. Just looked like we were getting dominated, and all of a sudden, it's almost halfway through the game, and the Rangers come back and score. Sam Carrick, the animal.
Carrick.
Apparently, this guy too. He has a maple syrup business, and
what? In America or Canada?
I think in Canada. I'm pretty sure he's Canadian. it's called Carrick Brothers syrup, and he like
Wow.
taps a bunch of trees, and apparently him and his brothers just have a syrup business. And
Gotta
there
love
was
small businesses.
There was a funny outtake that like Vincent Trocheck said that his daughter like eats it and even drinks it like every morning. So,
Jeez.
it's pretty funny. So I mean, the absolute play driver, fourth line, just firecracker guy, Sam Carrick, gets on the board, and then I think it was Trocheck, exactly. Trocheck for his 15th ties it up 2-2. Game goes on. It is back and forth. I don't love the 2 quick early goals that were scored against Igor, and it's kind of like exactly what we were saying. Don't regress back to the loose defensive play that we've kind of seen a couple times. But answering and actually being able to score was great. So then Avalanche then go and score 2 more times. So they go up 2 again.
Yeah,
Cale Makar has a second, and then Juuso Parssinen scores.
Parsley?
No, Parssinen.
Parssinen.
4th goal of the year, I guess. Again, just kind of.
Just another
I didn't see
random player
anything
I'd
like
never heard
super. I didn't see anything like crazy out of the blue, like total blown coverage or like Zibanejad turnover. It was just kind of like Avs are a good team. They jumped on us. They got it.
Yeah.
They got some shots in. So we're down 2 again. Rangers end up climbing the ladder again, tying it up. I believe Panarin had the tying goal, and before that, was it Smith? No, it was Borgen, man of the hour.
There we go.
So
after the signing,
right? Yeah, like the day of the signing or the day after the signing. Borgen scores to make it 4-3. Panarin, Mr. Clutch, with 4 minutes left to go, 4-4. And actually,
4 minutes in the third?
In the third.
Okay.
And one of the big things going around Rangers Twitter this game was being annoyed at the refs, essentially.
Okay.
I've seen this going around hockey Twitter in general. A lot of flopping, it seems like. We've talked about this a little bit, but like...
Has there been more flopping?
I feel like there has. There's... At least it's in the media scrums after the games. I feel like it's been talked about a little bit more. There was Nick Foligno got a penalty, an extra penalty for mimicking Kaprizov's like flop, basically. So I think Foligno
That's pretty funny, honestly.
Foligno took a tripping penalty, and then he went like wow, because he was like mimicking
Mocking
Kaprizov.
should be allowed, though.
Yeah, I agree, but they gave him an extra for like
unsportsmanlike conduct.
Unsportsmanlike, yeah.
No, that's stupid.
So
that's stupid.
I don't know. I mean, I think there was a little bit of embellishing going on, and I think the refs were kind of, there were some calls that I feel like should have been called. But again, it's like Rangers could have put this away a couple times.
Right.
Didn't. They had all the momentum going in. 4 minutes left. They tie it. They get a penalty. They actually get a call. I feel like it was probably more of a makeup call, but they're on the power play.
Last 2
so
minutes?
I think there's 2.5 minutes left. They get a power play. Okay.
Dude.
Which is great. You're just thinking, it's like, set it up. Okay. They go for about a minute. Whistle gets blown. Laviolette calls a timeout because he wants his first unit out there. Most dangerous guys. It kind of makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, go back in. Next minute goes. Some chances, some shots. Nothing that should have blatantly gone in. And then time's expiring. The penalty's done. There's like 30-ish seconds left. You hear Igor's stick like slamming on the ice, which is what goalies do to let the players know like penalty is expiring. They're getting the extra player back. And it's in the deep corner, passes out to Borgen at the point, and I've seen them do this a million times when they have a power play. He's looking to slide it over, kind of just like across D to D, but where Panarin is, which is like a little bit top of the circle. But the penalty was expired, so he passes it. Makar, who the penalty was on, picks the pass off, and then they go down 3-on-1 on Borgen, and then they score.
Right.
To just totally erase any chance of the Rangers having even a point in this game. So it was such a roller coaster because it went from 4-2, we're playing great, tie it up.
You can't make those passes when it lasts 20 seconds like that.
Absolutely you can't.
Regardless if you're on the power play or not, I think.
No, I disagree. If it was a power play, it was wide open, Panarin would have had a shot or a pass attempt, but you got to know where you're at.
Guess I'm a little more conservative because it's like...
Because it would not have been a problem if Makar wasn't out of the box. So it was basically like...
Well, I thought Makar picked it.
He picked it from the box.
Oh,
he literally
from
left
the
the box
box.
and went.
Oh,
It
wow.
wasn't
Okay,
like
okay,
Makar
okay.
was in the zone and then
Okay,
intercepted it. It was like Makar left the box, came in and timed it perfectly. Right as the puck was about to get to Panarin,
Okay, so Will
he swoops.
he didn't hear it.
He didn't
didn't
look
he
or
didn't look.
something, or he was just. It's hard. It's moving fast, and he did score, and he just signed. So I was trying to hype him up, but like that was a killer because the roller coaster. You're down 2. You're tied. With 4 minutes to go, you think, all right, we have a great shot of winning this. At least
go to OT.
At least we'll get a point.
Yeah.
Because we need all the points we can get because we've dug ourselves this hole.
Yeah.
And then something in the back of my mind was like, God, I really hope they don't do the thing and forget that a player is coming out of the box, because I've seen it happen before where like, oh, it's just randomly perfect timing, the puck gets shot out the boards and then there's a breakaway. You know, like you've seen that happen before.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't think that's happened to us. It happens to us rarely. Like I don't remember that being a thing for us.
When that happened, I just, when I saw Makar there, I saw Borgen like looked past it, and then I think realized like, oh no. And then the final thing, obviously, okay, they lose 5-4. Final thing, Borgen's getting less heat on this actually than Panarin is, because Panarin, okay, he's going for the shot. That part isn't the problem. The problem is if you look and watch him on the back check, he like takes a couple steps, tries to hook the guy, and then just like kind of stands up straight and is like, he like looks around, he sees, all right, we have 3 guys, they have 3 guys, but our 2 are back here. And the 3 are like, it's a 3-on-1. The 2 are back checking, and Panarin just decides to not back check, loses his man. That's the guy who scores. So he's getting some heat there.
Yeah,
it's tough. He like I'm not gonna come on here and be like Panarin should be disgraced, and like it's like look at it, get better from it. Don't do that. That's it. He's been one of our best players, so it's kind of hard to.
But is that characteristic of him to just give up, like, or?
I think the other thing is
like that?
Obviously he was on the ship. He's probably on the ice for 3 minutes.
Yeah, he was tired.
So he was definitely tired at the end of the game, but it's kind of like winning mentality. I don't want to see more of that. I haven't seen that much.
What if he's like, oh, Chessie will save it?
Yeah, well, he might also be like, we have a good chance. And offensive player like he is, he might be like, all right, I see we have kind of numbers here. It's probably going to work out fine, and then I'll be on the other side.
I don't agree with that.
He didn't stop at the red line.
Suzuki would have back checked.
Well, he's a center. He's more defensive.
Well, okay.
It's different.
Yeah, I forgot that he's a left winger.
Either way, really tough because it was such a fun game that they battled their way back. It just seemed like one that a previous, like last or 2 year ago, Ranger team would have won or would have at least taken overtime. So a little tough. Still some kinks to work out. Hopefully a big trade comes in soon. But that's my games for the week.
Sweet. On to my last game of the week, and the reason why I have this guy up, I have very few jerseys, but Suzuki should be up this week because he's the first Hab since, I guess, Koivu to reach 50 points below 50 games.
Nice.
So he had a 3-point game this game, despite it being an OT loss to New Jersey. Again, another pattern we've been seeing, and similar to your games this week, we get down like 2-0 in the first period. Yeah. And one thing I'd like to see moving forward is to not get. I mean, we come back like
you kind of aren't good when you have a lead. You have to learn how to play with the lead.
We have to learn how to play with the league and how to get the league and get a good first period and then maintain it the same rhythm. You know what I mean? Because we had that great first period against Toronto, and then we just blow it out of the water. But again, this one down 2-0. Jesper Bratt, dude, he was absolutely killer to us. He was just like dangling in our zone, like doing whatever he wants, and then we just like he's a short guy, but
no, he's really talented.
We couldn't like out-muscle him or bring him down. So he drives the first play, gives it like Nico Hischier scores his 24th, but it wasn't like. It was all Bratt. It was like he went around the net, and he went to the slot, just passed it down low. Hischier scores, and then Bratt gets the next one, also doing something similar, just like doing circles around us. So yeah, Jesper Bratt just running circles around us, making it look easy. I always thought that like, oh come on, how is New Jersey that good? Because like Bratt, he doesn't really stand out to me, but he proved me wrong in this, like showing off his skills and his. Quite honestly, one of the best stick handling I've seen all year from like a short player. So we got that, and Later on, we get missed chance down low from Caulfield to Suzuki. Still in the zone. They try again. Caulfield to Suzuki, and he gets it off a one-timer. Great goal for his 15th. Later on, Tomas Tatar scoring against his former team. You know, we got that classic meme from, you know, Tomas. You've seen that guy.
Tomas Tatar.
You gotta put it up. I'm not sure if
we'll put it up.
Right.
So we're down 3-1. Ideally, forgot Dobish is starting in this. He played an amazing game despite losing. He saved 40 pretty much.
Yeah.
And we cannot be allowing that many shots. I mean, for a rookie goaltender, amazing to see. But in general, throughout this week, we've been outshot for the most part, and that's a tough one. He kept us in the game despite being down. There was a chance by Stefan Nation. Yeah. Just really down low. It was off a shot, and he got a rebound right in front of Dobish, and glove side saves it. Just
windmill?
Absolutely. It wasn't a windmill, but he was just like, he was really low already, and he was just like,
nice.
that. So clutch. He was clutch, and there was a bunch of other saves. There was a breakaway chance in this game. Shuts it down. I mean, I don't know. He's looking good. I mean, again, this was his first, I guess, technical OT loss. He hasn't had a regulation loss yet, but he kept us in the game. And then we got Caulfield scoring later on. It was off a draw pass from Nick Suzuki. He dangles, cuts through the middle, right in the slot, gets a pass to Jake Allen, another former Hab playing against us. He played a great game too. You know, I always loved Jake. I never had. I mean, I've complained like any other goalie with us, but Jake has always been like a solid backup for us. And there was always that expectation, like he was perfect the way he is. You know.
Yeah.
And then for his first as a Hab, we got Alexander Carrier scoring from the point. Just a straight up slap shot, top right corner. And great to see a Montrealer get his first with us. And again, he's been amazing for us. So for him to score defensively, he's been amazing. We don't expect him to score, but you know, every once in a while, it's good to see, you know, D-men get on the score sheet. I don't know. I feel like I get sometimes more hype for them than the forwards because there's no expectation for them to score, right?
For most of them, there's some like Makar you expect.
True.
Right.
Yeah.
Fox, I think.
But for us, it's like we don't expect. We pretty much only expect Matheson or Hudson to score. No, less so Hudson. Hudson dishes it.
He's a disher.
If he dishes it like 60 assists a year, that's fine with me. Like 3 or 5 goals, I don't care.
Yeah.
Maybe Matheson, but he caught a little heat later on because it goes to OT, and he loses it on the line. So maybe a similar position like where Borgen is, just at the top of the blue line, gets a little out-muscled by I forget who the player was, but he passes it to Jack Hughes for the winner. And people are up in storms against Matheson. Oh, he's too soft. Like if they want to make the playoffs, they got to get rid of Matheson. But I think people are forgetting, like, he's like I feel like he puts maximal effort on the line every night. He's our defenseman, pretty much our number one defenseman that like has the most puck possession time aside from Hudson, and he's a worker. I think people forget that. And yeah, he messes up. I make fun of him too, like all the time. Like, oh, don't take that shot, Matheson.
Yeah.
There's that joke where when he was on the first power play unit before Hudson, it's just like, you know, you got 2 wingers that are open, but it's like, nope, Matheson just shoots the puck.
Yeah.
He's done that a lot less because he's been moved back, but in general, he's taken less shots in improbable places. But defensively, he's still like our guy. Like, he's a good guy. I'm glad we have
Jack
him.
Hughes he eats our lunch too. Like, he comes into our building and makes us look dumb, and like he'll do it to any defenseman unless you lay him out.
There's a little bit of a bias there because it's like Devils versus Rangers, and people think Hughes is like trying to. I mean, he does, but like, I feel like he doesn't mean to, like he's just playing him, you know? I don't.
No, I know.
I don't think he's trying to deliberately humiliate the Rangers. Is what
I know, but he does.
Well, he did.
He does do it.
He beat us this
I
time
know.
around.
That doesn't make me hate him any less.
Right. And again, from a great game from Dobish, they shot 44. He saved 40. I mean, keep it rolling with him. I mean, I'm not saying he should be the starter, but maybe there should be a couple weeks here and there where he gets more starts than Monty.
Yeah.
And that's our week. We were 1-1-1.
Yeah, we were 2-1. Should have been 2-0 and something, but.
But alas,
shame.
It wasn't.
Shame.
Shame, Will Borgen.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
I'm still in on. I think.
That's a tough loss. You can't, like, losing in the last.
No, it really
minute,
hurts.
It sucks.
It really hurts. Yeah.
Especially when you climb back up twice from a 2-0 or 2-goal
It's like they can do it. They can do it.
Yeah.
Just hold it.
Yeah, and I like to see from us scoring first and maintaining a lead. That I want to see that. I'm tired of being down after the first period. I mean, it's good because I have hope now that they could come back, and it's good. But let's see something a little more different. Let's be up.
I think
from
the
get-go.
same. I think I want to see something different. I think I'm just ready for this trade.
If it happens,
I'm ready. It's happening. You can't convince me otherwise. It's gonna happen. JT.
You know, it's
Miller.
fine. JT goes there, and then Mikko signs with us in the offseason.
Yeah, go for it.
That would be awesome. I mean, I'm happy. Yo,
We'll see.
If Rantanen,
I doubt it. There's
it's
no
like
way he
Rantanen,
wants to go to
Suzuki,
Montreal.
Demidov.
Why would he want to go to Montreal?
Because we're winners now.
You
We have a
haven't
winning
won- you haven't won
mentality.
anything.
We're a winning mentality.
You're not even in the playoffs
We're an
right now.
awesome locker room
No,
to be in.
No. He's gonna go to like Tampa.
Yeah.
You
No.
know he's gonna go to like Tampa.
Or go back to Colorado.
Yeah, which would be the worst.
No, it's
possible.
fine. We don't need him. We're gonna sign
Demidov,
Line and we got
Demidov.
Demidov coming in. Yeah.
Except I don't know, Rantanen and Line, little Finnish connection,
That'd be sick. That would be sick.
and Evans. No, Armia. Sorry.
That'd be a funny line. Just like, well, but Armia's a winger.
I'm just saying they're all Finnish.
Yeah, but then one of them has to play center.
You figure it out.
Maybe on the power play, just like a Finnish power player.
Yeah, it'd be
And Dvorak being the center. Or something.
Devo.
Devo's out for
I
sure.
hate him. I want him gone.
I'm just fine with him leaving.
All right, that's our show. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, send to anyone.
All
anyone
friends
who
and
wants to
family.
watch. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks guys.
Thank you.